I'm Krista Ruther, and this is Dr. Alan Lomax, and we're here to help you be a better landlord. Dr. Allen, thank you so much for being here today. I have just gushed a little bit off camera about how excited I am. You are a wealth of knowledge, and I'm really excited for the audience to get to tap into your expertise. Can you tell them a little bit about who you are and what you do?
Sure, Krista. I'm so excited to be with you here today, and thank you for that very warm and wonderful welcome. And I agree with you. I think our audiences share a great deal in common, and I hope that we can have an enlightening and inspiring time together today. Well, just a little bit about me. I'll try to make it as brief as possible. I like to start off with an experience when I was in the 7th grade, just because it tells about who and what I am and some of the struggles I had to go through to get to where I am today. So in the 7th grade, my family and I were sitting around a black and white television watching this special that just happened to come on. In those days, there were 3 choices: NBC, ABC, and CBS. And we were, I don't even know which channel it was, but their special on homosexuality came on. And as I listened to this special, and the interviewees had their faces smudged out, their identities concealed, and they were telling not the most pleasant of stories, but I realized that they were talking about me. And in that time, in that place, there just wasn't a whole lot of support for gays. And so I dealt with this issue without really any support. And we all know that silence grows shame and humiliation. So I entered a period of chronic depression. On top of that, I was also suffering from undiagnosed dyslexia because there was no such diagnosis in those days, and labeled as a slow learner. And from that, a high school counselor suggested I go into a trade rather than into college. I didn't follow his advice, went to college, and now I have a PhD in organizational systems psychology. So it took me a long time to get there and to get over those things. I actually was married. My wife, with more insights than I had after several years of me going through all kinds of ne'er-do-well experiences, had enough and left the marriage, which at that time I thought that was the worst thing that could ever happen to me in my life. And it really was my rock bottom moment. I went into therapy for the first time, and it was like a light switch. One day I was blind, the next I could see. I went back to graduate school, got my counseling degree, and then secured a counseling position at the university, completed my PhD, and have had a fulfilling and rewarding career ever since then. I was in my early 40s when I finally found the career of my calling. And with that, I was able to find enough financial stability and stability in my life and my relationships to begin my real estate investing career. Well, I tell that story for a number of reasons, because a lot of people I have a podcast also. I've interviewed over 600 different, very successful individuals. And so many times they come onto my show and they tell me, I started my lawn mowing business when I was 2 years old. And by 4 years old, it was a full-scale lawn maintenance business. And at 10 years old, I sold it for $1 million, and the rest is history. Well, I don't say that to put down these precocious entrepreneurs. I envy them, actually. But I tell that story because not everybody starts out like that. And I tell that story because I believe that anybody can transform at any point in time in their life and find their true calling. And I was very fortunate to find that in my career. And then I was able, from a career that I love, able to take the limitations of a professor's salary and put that into a wealth building mechanism through real estate. And I'll leave it there with that, and you can ask me any questions you want to from that point on.
Well, thank you for sharing your origin story. I think that it's such a breath of fresh air. I too enjoy the young entrepreneurs and the folks who really had it dialed in from a young age, or maybe they had familial help or something to get them on the path of success that they're on. But equally, I think it's so valuable to tap into the fact that it's never too late. You can take steps starting today, whether you have no real estate experience at all or you've dabbled and you've come in and out. There are so many different avenues to pursue, and wealth and also, the trappings that come with it, all of the great things are not out of reach just because you didn't start a lawn mowing business when you were two. So thank you for that. That's really good to know. With this in mind, my understanding of your expertise, and please correct me where I'm incorrect, is that you really focus in the real estate space on commercial syndications. Can you tell me what is a commercial syndication, just in case someone doesn't know?
That term syndication is a scary word. We often associate it with the mafia. But in fact, it has a much broader meaning than just the mafia. In fact, all syndication is a group of people coming together to accomplish a common goal. And of course, in real estate syndication, it is a group of people coming together to put together a business plan that we can buy large commercial properties that any one of us individually would not be able to pull down, but together we can do it. And in syndications, there are actually two very distinct different players. And one is the passive investor who comes with the capital, and the active investor who takes care of all of the operational aspects of the business, from sourcing the properties, putting forth the offerings, negotiating the deal, bringing it to closing, putting in place the funding for it in terms of financing through commercial organizations like Fannie and Freddie, and then also putting together the private equity part of it, which is where the private and passive investors come in, finding property managers, putting them in place, and then managing the whole entire asset from start to finish. So that's a very complex, very intense aspect of commercial real estate investing. But the active investors take care of that. The passive investors who bring the capital to that, or the equity to that, don't have to worry about any of those operations. All us as passive investors have to do is put down our capital and sit back and watch as the active investors take care of the full array of active responsibilities.
Wow. Okay. So a truly passive way to make sure that you're in the investing game without taking on, the headaches that come with being that active investor. So with that in mind, how long have you been involved in commercial syndications?
Since 2016, and there's a bit of a story there because I started out in single family residential rental properties, and I found that rewarding in a lot of ways. I liked buying shacks and liked being involved in that creative process of bringing a shack into a mansion.
Mhm.
And that was rewarding, that was fun, and I didn't mind working with tenants and toilets and trash. Basically, it wasn't the few properties that I had, it wasn't all that demanding. But I decided to branch out into other things. I had small mobile home parks, and the really big change came when I got into actually spec home building.
Mm.
And this was in 2015. And from that, I thought I knew more than what I really knew. And because of my hubris, I essentially ended up losing absolutely everything that I had accumulated up to that point. So in 2016, I was starting all over from scratch. And as old as I was, I realized I needed something that had much more scalability than what single family would offer me while I was still working full time. And I discovered commercial real estate investing. I developed a network of syndicators through coaching, through mastermind groups. I really did accelerate my investing growth. When I decided to go into commercial real estate investing, my intention was to work on the active side of that. And the more that I looked into that, the more coaching I had, the more involvement with masterminds, the more my network grew, the more I realized that the avenue for me is passive investing. And so I have stayed in that lane ever since then.
I mean, incredible. And what I'm hearing really stick out in terms of this path that you've chosen is the scalability aspect. So that makes me curious, what are the other benefits of choosing to pursue commercial syndication?
Of course, the big benefits in commercial real estate, beyond just the scalability of that, is that it is much lower risk than the single family investing. Just for instance, in a single family property, you have one tenant, and when that one tenant moves out, you have 100% vacancy rate. In commercial real estate, and we primarily focus upon multifamily, a 100-unit complex, you can lose 15, 20 tenants overnight, and you still have, the 70 to 75%, or I guess 80, even 80% occupancy rates and only a 20% vacancy rate. And of course, it's unusual that you're going to have that many vacancies at one time in a good operational multifamily. Typically, we're running around 95% vacancy rates on well operating assets. And so the risk reduction is important, and particularly if you're looking at it from a passive investment. And the other thing that reduces risk is that if you look back at 2008, the single family market on average nationwide dropped, the value of single family homes dropped by about 30%. When you look at that same period of time, multifamily property, the value dropped about 10%. That's a huge, huge difference. And so there's the vacancy aspect that reduces the risk, and then there is also the value adjustments that reduce the risk on that. And then the third really risk reduction aspect of commercial real estate is that the network that I have, I know these successful professionals that are in the business. And so working with professionals who have an extensive record of success is another risk reduction aspect of that. So those three risk reduction aspects of commercial real estate investing are the impressive benefits of it.
Absolutely. And I really appreciated how you highlighted the vacancy rate benefit here because I think so often, especially with folks who are either just getting started out or maybe have only really stayed in the residential real estate investing sphere, vacancy rate is one of the scariest times because you're trying to get someone in there. Obviously, you don't want it to sit empty for too long, but you don't want to get the wrong person in there. So it's refreshing to hear that in the commercial realm, you're not necessarily out 100%. In fact, most often it sounds like you are not. You might have folks coming and going, but you still have a core group that is paying the costs and giving you rent as needed. So thank you for that. A new question has just popped up for me. Um, I assume that you screen tenants for commercial real estate in at least a similar way, if not kind of looking more at their businesses and their revenue that they expect to pull in. Is that fair?
Well, yes, but we also hire a professional management team to
Ah,
do
yeah.
that. And not only are the syndicators that we are working with experienced and professional syndicators, our syndicators are hiring experienced and highly professional management teams.
Wow.
And so they have well developed screening processes that we go into the property with. We go into the properties with an experienced management team in place.
Yes. I mean, really, I think the network and having that expertise on your side just helps streamline everything that follows, right?
Absolutely.
It really smooths out the path. We've talked about some of the benefits. I'm curious if there are any drawbacks that folks should be aware of when it comes to commercial syndication, not necessarily with you or your group, just as a whole.
Well, I don't know that the drawbacks, but the issue with it is that, if you're a single family operator and you're doing all of the operations yourself, you have all of that hands-on experience,
Mhm.
and you have total control over the operational aspects of that. As a passive investor, you have no say in the management processes. You are a silent partner in the operations of that. And if you're the kind of person who is a control freak, you might find that disconcerting because, yes, you have to be able to confidently and without any anxiety be able to let go of that control and let the managers manage the operations. So that would to me be really essentially the only thing that I can think of as a drawback. Well, there are all kinds of syndicators out there. So if you're just going out there and looking on your own for these private placement opportunities, there are some good chances that you could be involved with syndicators who can put forth a good presentation,
Mm,
but do not have a good reputation, or they just don't have, they may be good people and they just don't have the experience. In single family homes, in one property, you can screw up and you can probably survive that.
sure.
In commercial real estate, you're going to have massive losses if you screw up that particular deal. And so, yes, you want to be sure that the syndicators you're working with are ethical,
Mhm.
honest, experienced, have an extensive track record, and they have delivered on the projections that they present to us. So, yes, there are some drawbacks there.
Sure, sure. So one of the major ones obviously is the idea that you could run into a team that either sells themselves really well but doesn't have the experience or the ethics to back it up, or otherwise start to tank what could be a really great opportunity. Are there key red flags that stick out to you when you look out onto the field assessing maybe other syndicator groups or things that you've run into as you've been building up your own syndicator team?
I mean, the red flags are that there are flaws in their underwriting processes. There are over expectations with inexperienced people. They anticipate less problems than what there are going to be out there, and they often just over project what is realistic. And so you need to watch out for those. And then the other thing is you really need to be aware of where these properties are. We generally speaking are looking at properties in metro areas or in secondary areas because there that is where you're going to find the growth. You're going to find the growth in population, in jobs, and growth in incomes. And you could probably, with an experienced team, you could probably make any syndication work,
Mm,
but it's much better to, rather than paddling against the stream, to be flowing with the stream. And the growth of your investments are going to be much easier if you're working with the stream. So those are things to watch out for.
sure, sure. Follow the stream, go with the flow. It's a lot easier than trying to swim against it. That's what I'm
Absolutely.
when it comes to the flip side of things, what green flags should somebody be looking out for when they're trying to decide whether or not to move forward with a deal?
I mean, that's what our coaching program actually looks at. But
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's very important for people to really start with their values and to really look at what is their personal vision and
Mm,
where is it do they really want to make an impact in life. And starting with that, then we look at what are the roadblocks to attaining that personal vision. And then you need to put together a blueprint to attain that vision. And people oftentimes they just think, well, I want to invest in passive real estate. I'm going to find a syndicator and a syndication, and they put down their money, and they're very disappointed in the results in a lot of different ways because it really isn't matching with their overall vision of where it is that they want to go in life. And they haven't really put together a plan for attaining that financial growth and development. And I've been in higher education since my 40s and have loved it and did not want to leave that. And so part of my plan was developing an investment portfolio that would support and give me the opportunity to stay where I wanted to stay while also developing substantial wealth. Well, people in the single family realm who like and enjoy being in that realm should stay there, and they should continue to grow those portfolios. And they can then invest passively at the same time in commercial real estate endeavors. And by doing that, they are growing their wealth in at least two different realms. Well, that's what you can call diversification. And they should stay with what they have a passion for and what they love doing and incorporate the passive on the side of that. And that's what our coaching program is really for, is for professionals and entrepreneurs who want to add, like I did, to their wealth development, passive real estate investing.
Beautiful. I really love the idea of, having folks sit down and define their blueprint, map it out, what they want for their lives, and then tailoring a plan for their investments to follow and to really bring that into fruition. So I would love to hear more about your coaching group. Steed Talker is the name. If you don't mind, I would like also just as a curiosity want to know, where did that name come from?
Well, great question. Thank you for asking that. Well, I have always wanted horses in my life, and I did have a horse when I was in high school, but it really wasn't until my mid-50s that I really got back into horses, and I've had some wonderful experiences with that. And I don't think we have time to talk about them to any great degree today, but that's where the name of my company came from, is my involvement with horses. And how it is that I talk and communicate to horses. So Steed Talker Capital is the parent company. The coaching program is actually Streams to Impact, which is multiple streams of income to allow us to make the meaningful and colossal impact that we all dream of making in the world. So that's where Streams to Impact come from. That's where Steed Talker comes from.
Love it. I absolutely love it. And how long have you had these companies going? Can you tell me more about their impact?
Well, I've had Streams to Impact. We really just began our coaching program about a year ago. I've been investing in real estate since the 90s and founded steedtalker.com. Lose track of time here, but founded steedtalker.com about 2007. So however many decades that has been.
Sure.
So yes.
Okay. And I'm particularly impressed by your approach to coaching because I think so often in this space, there are many folks with various levels of expertise, and also a group of them who just really want to sell their services more than see the end result for their clients. I feel like, based on my research on you, that you do a really good job of bringing people in and truly caring about their outcome. And so I'm curious, are there any stories you'd like to highlight from clients who've moved through your program or end results that you would like to have a little airtime to brag about?
Well, yeah, I brag about the fact that within 60 days, I can take any one of our clients and have taken all of our clients within 60 days from putting their investments in what are often low to mediocre yielding returns into returns that are delivering an annual average 18% return on investment. And we do that within 60 days. And we take them from novice passive real estate investor to a very confident and knowledgeable passive investor. I do not present investment opportunities to our clients until they have gone through that educational program and they know what sourcing of properties is, they know what underwriting is, they know how to look at a deal and to know whether it is going to be able to return the projections that are offered. And they know the important documents that you must understand before you sign any one of those documents. And there's actually 3 documents that we look at intensively, and that's the private placement memorandums, the operating agreements, and the subscription agreements. And so we go through all of that, and within 60 days, they can go from any of their assets to passive assets that are delivering a minimum of 18% return on investment. So if you are in the single family space and your investments are largely in your single family properties, no problem whatsoever. Even if you don't have cash readily available, you are going to have equity in those single family homes. And you can take a line of credit against those single family homes, and you can put that into a passive real estate investment. So it's a wonderful way for you to stay in your passion of single family operations and expand into commercial real estate. And not only is that going to give you excellent returns and give you appreciation in 2 pockets rather than just one, it is also a very, very safe way to learn about commercial real estate investing.
I mean, absolutely inspired. I love the 1-2 punch of educating people so that they understand what's going on, and also then hooking them up with some really fantastic opportunities to grow their wealth while maintaining whatever passions they have in life, whether that's their single family properties, being a wonderful professor, just truly allowing folks to tailor their investment strategy to whatever they want. Before I wrap up and we tell folks how to find you, are there any questions I should have asked you that I did not?
No, you're an excellent, excellent host, but there's one more point I want to make. Not
Sure.
only is our program educational, it is a coaching format, and they stay in our coaching program. After the 60 days, they're still a part of that coaching program. And all investments that come after that, we're here as counselors and advisors to walk them through all of those future potential investments. And the great thing about being in our program is that we talked about the aspect of going out there and finding syndicators on your own in our program. You don't have to do that. All of the syndicators in our program have been vetted, and we have an extensive network of very well vetted syndicators. So those are the benefits. And so, yeah, you're a wonderful host, delightful host, charming personality, and it's been delightful to be with you. So, I mean, the place to find us is to go to the company website, which is steedtalker.com and /passive. And you can find us there, and we've got educational materials there that are free to you. And so go there, take advantage of it.
Oh, absolutely. I highly recommend everyone do it. To make things simple, we will also have the link down in the video description. So please go check out Dr. Allen and his team's work. Thank you so much for your time and for sharing your story and expertise. It has been absolutely wonderful. Folks, if you want to make sure that you catch all of our episodes with wonderful guests and anything else that pops up, hit the subscribe button and don't forget to like this episode.